My name is Alina Fox. I'm 34 years old, and until 4 days ago, I thought my life was finally settling into something solid, quiet, steady, built with my own two hands, like the furniture in my workshop. For most of the past decade, I buried myself in my business, custom wooden pieces, all designed, sanded, stained, and carved, in a garage-turned studio behind my house. Clients say the place smells like cedar and calm. I've always liked that. But there was nothing calm about the moment everything collapsed. It started with a notification. Actually, no, let me be honest. It started long before that. It started when I fell in love with a man who cared more about how strangers saw him than how I saw him. But the notification, that was the explosion. A message from my friend Renee. Alina, have you seen this? No explanation, just a link. I clicked it, and there it was, the 14-second video that would detonate my entire future. Evan Hale, my fiancé of 4 days, sitting in the driver's seat of his car, a champagne flute in one hand, the engagement ring I designed for him in the other. His best friend Tiffany sat in the passenger seat, also holding champagne, mascara thick, hair curled like she was filming a commercial. They were laughing, loud, obnoxious, almost breathless. The text overlay punched me first. Keeping her ring, dumping the woman. #level up, #worth more, #new life. My stomach went ice cold. Tiffany cheered, "Yes, King." Evan raised the ring to the camera, letting the sunlight catch the center stone. "To new beginnings," he laughed. "And to this severance package she handed me. Thanks for financing my glow-up, babe." The video ended with them clinking glasses like they'd just closed a business deal. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even blink. A strange, cold quiet settled in my chest, like the stillness before a storm breaks open the sky. I watched the video again, then a third time. There were already hundreds of thousands of views. By the time I clicked the comments, they were pouring in. "Period, King. Secure the bag." She was punching above her weight anyway. Men are temporary. Glow-ups are forever. Except they were cheering on a man. The same man who, 4 days earlier, cried when I slid that ring onto his finger. I closed the TikTok app. My hands weren't shaking. My breathing was steady. But inside, something cold and sharp was forming. A stillness that didn't feel human. Let me back up. Evan and I were together for 4 years. 2 years ago, he moved into my home, the home I bought, renovated, and furnished myself. I thought we were happy. I thought we were aligned. I thought he loved the quiet life I built. Movie nights, gardening on weekends, morning coffee on the back patio. But Evan Hale loved appearances. He loved curated angles, perfect lighting, brand placements. He worked as an emerging content strategist, which was a generous way of saying he made mediocre lifestyle videos that never took off. He was always on the edge of influencer culture, one viral moment away from proving to himself that he mattered. Now I understand he was waiting for the moment he could stage his life as something more glamorous. And I was a prop. When he proposed? No, I proposed. I took him to dinner last week. I bought the ring myself, a platinum band with delicate carvings on each side of a large stone that looked like a flawless diamond. I designed it to symbolize roots, steady, enduring, built from intention. Evan cried. He said he had never felt more chosen, more loved. He posted pictures of the ring every day afterward. Hashtags, #bestfianceever, #luckiest, man alive, #blessed. He looked happy. He looked sincere. I didn't realize he was already performing. After seeing the video, I set my phone down. I walked out to my workshop. The half-finished maple table on my workbench waited there, silent, patient, exactly where I left it. Normally, the scent of wood stain calms me, but today it felt muted, far away. I picked up one of my chisels and held it lightly between my fingers. The metal was cool. The room smelled like sawdust and lemon oil, but none of it touched me. All I could hear were Evan's words echoing, "Thanks for financing my glow-up, babe." My glow-up? After everything I poured into our life? After every bill I covered? After every emergency expense he needed help with? After every time he insisted his big break was right around the corner? I took a slow breath. People think heartbreak is loud. Crying, screaming, begging. But sometimes heartbreak is a quiet, surgical severing. Precise, clean. I stepped back from the workbench, washed my hands, and went inside the house. I didn't rage, I didn't break anything, I didn't pour wine. I sat at my dining table, opened my laptop, and began making a list. A list of everything Evan used that was tied to my money. A list of everything he had access to. A list of every hole he thought I wouldn't close. As I typed the first line, something strange happened. I felt peaceful, clear, focused. It was the peace of someone who finally understood that the relationship she mourned never actually existed. The man I loved was a character, a version of Evan he performed for me as carefully as he performed for his camera. And now the world was cheering for his escape, applauding him for discarding me like I was dead weight. Fine. If he wanted a clean break, I would give him the cleanest one imaginable. And unlike his TikTok followers, I wouldn't need a filter or a hashtag to do it. The list grew long fast. Joint account? Funded almost entirely by me. Credit cards? He was an authorized user on 2. Car insurance? Under my policy. Streaming accounts? Mine. Phone bill? Mine. Piece by piece, I started preparing the dismantling. No anger, no tears, just the quiet certainty of a woman reclaiming her life. Tomorrow, I told myself. Tomorrow I would start. But tonight I allowed myself one final steady breath. Then I whispered into the dark workshop doorway. You wanted new beginnings, Evan? You're about to get one. I woke up the next morning before sunrise. No alarm, no dreams, just that same cold clarity humming under my skin. The house was still, the kind of quiet that feels too big for one person. Evan used to say my home echoed responsibility, whatever that meant. Today, it echoed freedom. I made coffee, sat at the dining table, opened in my laptop, and began. First task, the joint account. I logged in. For a moment, my chest tightened. Not from pain, but from the simple realization of how much trust I had given him. The balance was lower than expected. Too low. But I wasn't surprised. Evan had a talent for treating himself using other people's money, especially mine. I transferred my half to my personal account. Then I closed the joint account entirely. A clean slice. No loose ends. Next, my credit cards. He was an authorized user on 2. Recent charges popped up in a neat little list. Thousands of dollars. A luxury hotel suite for content weekend. Designer clothes. Dinner with Tiffany the night before the TikTok went up. 2 sets of luggage. A cocktail bar with a rooftop view. He had been celebrating his exit before he even filmed it. I canceled both cards with a single phone call. The representative asked, "Would you like to remove the authorized user?" "Yes," I said, permanently. The word felt good in my mouth. Then came the harder part, not emotionally, but physically. Packing. Evan owned many things. Well, owned is generous. Most of it was bought with my money. Clothes, gadgets, colognes, endless hair products, and the army of aesthetic lifestyle objects he needed for content creation. 4 brand new suitcases sat near the entryway, the ones he bought the night before dumping me, each tag still attached. Perfect. I pulled them into the living room, opened every closet, every drawer, every cabinet. I packed neatly, folded shirts, organized toiletries, wrapped electronics. Not out of kindness, out of precision. If I was going to remove him from my life, I'd do it cleanly. One by one, his presence disappeared from every room. The bathroom drawers stopped smelling like his eucalyptus shaving cream. The closet stopped looking like a showroom. The office corner no longer held his untouched tripod collection. The house began to feel like mine again. When the final suitcase was zipped, I lined them all by the front door. 5 in total. A tiny exhibit of performative luxury. I took a picture, not to send to him, to remind myself. This is what leaving looks like. The sun was fully up when I called the locksmith. He came within the hour. Older man, kind eyes, didn't ask questions. He swapped out every lock, front door, back door, workshop door, even the gate. When he finished, he handed me the new set of keys. Fresh start, he asked. I met his gaze, something like that. I paid him, slipped the keys into my pocket, and exhaled. The house felt sealed, protected. Mine. Next step, moving the luggage. I contacted a 24/7 moving service and gave them 2 addresses. Pick up, my house. Drop off, Evan's mother's home, 40 minutes away. A small, stern woman named Marilyn Hale who always made me feel like I was interviewing for a job I didn't know I'd applied for. When the movers arrived, 2 men loaded the suitcases into their truck. Fragile? One asked. Emotionally, I replied. He laughed. I didn't. By noon, the preparations were done. I sat on my couch, my couch, and finally checked my phone. 3 missed calls from unknown numbers, 4 from Tiffany, and then 1 from Evan. He left a voicemail. Alina, what the hell? My card isn't working. Call me back. I didn't. Instead, I waited. It didn't take long. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. No greeting, just a screech. What the hell did you do? Tiffany's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. Evan's card declined at every store. We're stranded at the mall. You can't just... Hello, Tiffany, I said calmly. You looked like you were having fun in the video. A pause, half a beat of stunned silence. That's not the point. It's exactly the point, I said. Evan made a public announcement. He dumped me. He kept the ring. He celebrated. So naturally, the financial perks of being with me ended too. You're insane. I'm consistent. I hung up. 10 seconds later, Evan called. I let it ring twice before answering. His voice was pure panic. Turn my cards back on, Alina. Now. No. You can't do this to me. Evan, you announced the end of our relationship to 1 million people while bragging about taking my ring as a severance package. What part of that suggests I would keep supporting your lifestyle? This is humiliating, he snapped. You handled the humiliation yourself. I didn't film anything. He sucked in a breath, struggling for words. Then, where am I supposed to go tonight? Home, I said. Your things should be at your mother's door by now. He choked on the word. You packed my stuff? Every last item. The house is clear of you, and the locks are changed. Silence. Heavy, furious silence. You're heartless, he whispered. I'm efficient. I hung up. Then I blocked his number. 2 hours later, my phone rang again. Marilyn's number. I considered ignoring it, but curiosity dragged my thumb forward. Alina, she began in her clipped, proper voice. There seems to be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I said. My son is distraught, she continued. He says you've thrown him out without warning. He threw himself out, I corrected, on camera, to over 1 million people. That video was a joke. Boys show off. You women can be so sensitive. I almost laughed. He bragged about robbing me and dumping me. That isn't showing off. That's intent. Regardless, she pressed, you need to let him come home to your house so the two of you can talk this through. This is my home, I said. And no, I don't. You can't just dump him on me like this, she snapped. I smiled, genuinely smiled. You raised him, Marilyn. He's your responsibility now. Her voice sharpened. We could sue you, you know. For what? I asked softly. Changing the locks on a house I own alone? Canceling a card that's in my name? Saving a video your son willingly posted? The line went silent. Then she hung up. When the quiet settled again, I leaned back into my couch. For the first time in days, my body felt like it belonged to me. Evan wanted new beginnings? He was getting one, just not the one he filmed. The next morning, I woke to sunlight pouring through the curtains and a phone vibrating nonstop on my nightstand. Notifications stacked one after another like falling dominoes. Messages, mentions, links. Renee texted, "Oh my God, you need to see what he posted." I didn't want to, but curiosity is a stubborn creature. I opened TikTok. Evan had uploaded a new video. Gone was the champagne and smug grin. Gone was the triumphant sparkle in his eyes. Now he sat on the floor of what looked like his childhood bedroom. Beige carpet, old posters peeling off the walls, a twin bed behind him. His face was blotchy, eyes red from crying. He looked like a little boy who'd lost his favorite toy. The text overlay read, "When the person you trusted the most becomes a stranger overnight." I hit play. Alina kicked me out of our house, he sniffled, wiping his nose dramatically. She canceled my cards. She threw me away for no reason. I'm hurting so much. There was soft, sad piano music playing in the background. Tiffany's voice whispered off screen, dramatically, "Just tell them your truth, babe." My eyebrow twitched. My truth? He continued, "I only made that video because I had doubts. I freaked out. I made a mistake. And instead of talking to me, she destroyed my life." I paused the video. Destroyed his life. He filmed himself dumping me for likes. He drained our joint account. He used my credit cards for a pre-breakup celebration. But sure, I was the villain. I scrolled to the comments, expecting sympathy for him. What I found instead was an avalanche of disbelief. Didn't you brag about keeping her ring? Weren't you literally celebrating? Bro, we saw the video. Don't gaslight the entire internet. Not you trying to cry your way out of consequences. The math isn't mathing. There were thousands of comments like this. Thousands. Someone stitched his crying video with the original champagne one. Someone else slowed down his bragging frame by frame with dramatic music. Reaction videos flooded my For You page. Memes, jokes, parodies. Within hours, he wasn't trending because he was admired. He was trending because he was a clown. A global punchline. I watched silently as the internet ripped apart his victim narrative. It wasn't vindication, it wasn't joy, it was simply quiet. The same quiet I felt the day he betrayed me. By noon, he had posted another video. This time his tone was angrier, less crying, more accusation. She manipulated me for years, he snapped, tears still shimmering but now weaponized. She controlled all the money so she could control me. She wanted power over me. That's abuse. There it was, the nuclear button. The ultimate influencer script. When all else fails, accuse your partner of abuse. The comments erupted, not sympathetic to him, but furious at the manipulation. No, bro, you were living in her house rent-free. She controlled the money. You mean her money? You bragged about using her as a severance package. Victim cosplay isn't working here. You're not describing abuse. You're describing adulthood. The more he talked, the worse it got. Tiffany tried to defend him in her own videos, but people immediately dug up an old clip of her bragging about milking rich partners for content. That, too, went viral. Within 24 hours, both of them had lost thousands of followers. Brands quietly unfollowed them. Someone made a Reddit thread compiling all their inconsistencies, and it hit the front page. Every time Evan tried to fix the narrative, he made it worse. And I never said a word. Around 3 p.m., I received an email from a mutual acquaintance, Lena, a photographer who once worked with Evan and Tiffany. Her message was short. You didn't do anything wrong. They're spiraling. Stay quiet. I replied, that was always my plan. And it was. People kept messaging me, asking for my side. Journalists reached out. Even a few YouTubers wanted an interview. I ignored all of them. Sometimes silence is louder than spectacle. Sometimes dignity is the sharpest blade. That evening, after a day of watching chaos unfold from a safe distance, the phone rang again. Blocked number. For some reason, I answered. A soft voice said, Alina? It was Tiffany. Interesting. She sniffed, trying to sound fragile. I wanted to apologize. I said nothing. You know how Evan can be, she continued. He spirals, he exaggerates, but he never meant to hurt you. I almost laughed. Never meant to? He planned content around it. She rushed on, the internet just misunderstands him. If you could just say something, anything, to calm things down. Ah, there it was. Not actual remorse, damage control. Tiffany, I said gently, I hope you're aware that the more you two talk, the worse it gets. I know, she whispered. It's just, Evan hasn't eaten all day. He's a wreck. That's not my responsibility. But you loved him. Loved, I corrected. Silence. Then she tried again. Can't you just put out a statement saying you're both working through things? I smiled, a small, tired smile. No. Her breath hitched, as if she'd just been slapped. You made your choices, I said softly. I made mine. Then I hung up. Later that night, I sat on the edge of my bed with the window cracked open. The crickets hummed outside. A breeze drifted through, warm and steady. For the first time, the quiet didn't feel cold. It felt earned. I picked up my phone and opened Evan's original video one last time. The laughing, the champagne, the clink of glasses, his smirk as he held up the ring. He thought he had won. He thought he'd humiliated me. He thought the world would worship him for it. But now, the world had flipped. The pedestal he built himself crumbled beneath his own weight, and he was falling fast, loudly, publicly, and I hadn't pushed him. All I did was step aside. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of silence from me. 2 weeks of chaos from him. 2 weeks of the internet treating Evan Hale like a walking cautionary tale about ego and self-destruction. I went back to work, back to my workshop, back to smoothing maple grains and carving walnut inlays. My hands remembered the rhythm even when my mind wandered. And each day, the noise around Evan faded a little more. Until the morning, it roared back louder than ever. It started with Renee again. Oh my God, Alina, he did it. Check TikTok now. I sighed, wiped sawdust from my hands, and opened the app. Evan had posted another video, this one far more elaborate than the meltdown in his childhood bedroom. He was dressed in a tight black turtleneck and fitted slacks, hair slicked back like a discount version of a luxury brand model. He stood in front of a mirror, filming himself with dramatic seriousness. The caption, securing the bag, #moving on boss energy. I tilted my head. He was holding the engagement ring, my ring, the one I designed. He looked dead into the camera. I'm finally doing it, he announced. I'm taking this to a high-end jeweler for an official appraisal. Then I'm selling it. New beginnings start today. Tiffany squealed behind the camera. Yes, Evan. Yes, King. He blew a kiss to the lens. Thanks for the down payment on my new life, Alina. That part stung, not in the emotional way, but in the disappointment way, like watching a toddler draw on walls with a permanent marker and then proudly declare it art. He ended the video by strutting toward the door like he was starring in a fragrance commercial. I rolled my eyes and set my phone aside. He truly believed the ring was worth over $100,000. He had bragged about it. He had bet his entire future on it. And that made what happened next feel inevitable. 3 hours later, the internet exploded. My phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications poured in. Tags, stitches, reactions, duets, memes. Everyone was posting the same video. Evan's meltdown in the front seat of his car. I reluctantly opened it. This was not the confident, sleek, faux luxury Evan from earlier. This was Evan unfiltered, unedited, hysterical. His face was red and wet, makeup streaking where Tiffany had touched up his under eyes earlier. His hair was a disaster. He was sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. The text overlay screamed, "He gave me a fake ring." I pressed play. He tricked me, Evan sobbed, holding the ring like it had personally betrayed him. This is worthless. It's worthless. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do with $8,000? $8,000. I stared at the screen. 8,000 is not worthless. But to Evan, who believed he was holding a six-figure prize, it might as well have been gravel. Through hiccups and gasps, he explained the jeweler's appraisal. Platinum band, real. Side diamonds, real. Center stone, 3 carats of moissanite. The jeweler apparently didn't even need long to identify it. Evan slammed his hand against the steering wheel. I looked like an idiot in there. He told me moissanite is basically glorified cubic zirconia. Tiffany whispered off screen. Oh my God, babe, breathe, breathe. It should have been a diamond, Evan wailed. A real one, a 6-figure stone. He lied to me. He humiliated me. I blinked slowly. He was accusing me of humiliation while filming himself in a full-blown public meltdown about moissanite. The comment section was merciless. So, you admit you tried to sell the ring? Love that for you. This is the greatest cell phone on the internet. Moissanite is gorgeous, you ungrateful goblin. Bro really thought he had a 100K starter home on his finger. Imagine trying to cash out on your fiancé and then crying because the gemstone is ethical. I'm crying harder than he is, and I don't even know why. Reaction videos were everywhere within minutes. A gemologist stitched the clip and calmly explained moissanite's value, durability, history, and ethical production. Then she looked directly into the camera and said, "Sir, this is a you problem." I snorted. Someone else dubbed dramatic opera music over his screaming. Another person created a parody trailer titled The Moissanite Massacre, The Fall of Evan Hale. Within hours, the phrase Moissanite King was trending. Tiffany tried to save face by posting her own video saying, "We didn't know. Evan thought it was a real diamond." The internet responded instantly. So you did try to sell it? Not you admitting to theft. Girl, stop. You're making it worse. And she was. They both were. By evening, Evan deleted the meltdown video. But the internet never forgets. Dozens of copies were already circulating. That night, a jeweler posted security footage, with faces blurred, of Evan dramatically slamming his hands on their counter and yelling, "Do you know who I am?" The jeweler captioned it, "Nope, but now everyone does." It went viral in less than an hour. Around 10 p.m., my phone buzzed again. It was an email. From Evan. Subject line, "I deserve answers." I sighed and opened it. What I found inside was a rambling, contradictory mess. He was sorry, but I humiliated him. He loved me, but I ruined his life. He acted impulsively, but I trapped him with a cheap ring. He wanted closure, but he also wanted me to fix the narrative. Then the real question, why would you give me a fake ring? Fake. The word made me pause. Not because it hurt, because it revealed something so profoundly pathetic about him. He didn't want a partner. He wanted a jackpot. I closed the email and walked outside to the workshop. The moonlight spilled across the wooden floor. The half-finished table I'd been working on sat waiting, patient as always. I took a deep breath. Then I turned back to my desk, opened my laptop, and drafted one final reply. Just one. No anger, no venom, just truth. I attached a screenshot of the design notes I gave to the jeweler months ago. A paragraph explaining why I chose moissanite, the same stone my grandmother had worn for 60 years of marriage. Ethical, brilliant, enduring. Beside the screenshot, I typed, The ring wasn't fake, Evan. It was a test. And its value was never in the stone. It was in the commitment it symbolized. You failed that test the moment you tried to sell it. Then I added, the ring wasn't the lie. You were. I hit send. Then I blocked him. Again. And for the first time since the day of the video, I felt something warm settle in my chest. Not triumph, not revenge. By the time the sun rose the next morning, Evan Hale had become a certified internet spectacle. Not the glamorous, envy-inducing kind he had always fantasized about, but the tragic comedic kind, the kind that gets turned into reaction gifs and cautionary Reddit threads. And I was back to sanding the edges of a walnut coffee table, my workshop filled with the hum of morning birds and the steady rhythm of my sander. Life felt normal again. Not healed, not triumphant, just normal, stable, quiet in a way that wasn't frightening anymore. The world beyond my workshop walls was burning down around Evan, but inside, the wood grain beneath my fingertips was simple and predictable, honest even. It's strange how quickly someone can disappear from your daily emotional orbit, just dissolve. But even when someone dissolves, the consequences of their choices don't. The first rumor came from Lena, the photographer who occasionally collaborated with Evan before the implosion. She messaged me. He's back at his mother's full-time. She's not thrilled. I didn't need details to imagine the tension in that house. Marilyn, his mother, was a woman who believed in appearances more fiercely than Evan ever did. For her, public humiliation wasn't an inconvenience. It was a generational wound. And now her son had become a meme, a viral embarrassment, the Moissanite king. For days, screenshots circulated of the two of them arguing in the background of Evan's accidental live stream. He hadn't realized he hit go live. Marilyn's voice was unmistakable. You made a fool of yourself, Evan. Why would you do that? Why would you film that? Why would you— Mom, stop yelling. You stop being a catastrophe. Someone clipped it. It went viral. Again. Evan turned off all comments on his apps. Then he set everything to private. Then he deleted TikTok altogether. But once the internet decides your entertainment, deletion is meaningless. Then a second rumor found me. Through an acquaintance, I heard that Tiffany had gone quiet too. Her entire girl boss influencer persona was unraveling. She'd lost partnerships. She'd lost followers. She'd lost sponsors. Someone leaked that she had tried to pitch a tasteful breakups content series to a marketing agency immediately after the meltdown video. The agency rejected it, and then leaked the proposal, and then laughed about it online. Now Tiffany was scrambling to salvage her own image, but every move she made exploded in her hands. At one point, she posted a teary-eyed apology video, but the internet shredded it within minutes. Apologizing because you're sorry or because you're broke? Girl, you're only crying because your PR manager told you to. I've seen toddlers take responsibility better than this. She removed the video 8 minutes later. 8 minutes was long enough for 40 million views, and for someone to remix it into a rap beat. Evan's friends, those few who didn't abandon him overnight, reached out to me quietly. Some apologized for his behavior. Some said they were shocked. Some wanted to know if the rumors about the ring were true. I never replied, but one message stood out. He still thinks you're going to fix this. He keeps saying you'll take him back once you cool down. I stared at that message for a long time. Cool down. What exactly did he imagine I was feeling? Love? Anger? Longing? Regret? No. What I felt was an odd, peaceful distance, like he was a character from a show I'd stopped watching season ago. And then, a few days later, Marilyn Hale called me again. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity, always curiosity. Alina, she began, her tone clipped and wounded. I assume you've seen the mess online? Yes. Well, she sniffed. Evan is devastated, completely undone. And this spectacle has damaged our family name. I hope you understand that none of this would have happened if you had simply handled things privately. I blinked. Marilyn, I said slowly, your son filmed himself dumping me in front of 1 million people. That was a mistake. So was trying to sell the ring he thought he stole. She bristled. He is hurting, Alina. He needs support and stability and structure. You have always been the more responsible one. I almost laughed. There it was. The real reason she called. Not to apologize. Not to acknowledge his actions. Not to take responsibility. But to try to place him back onto my shoulders. Marilyn, I interrupted. Your son isn't my responsibility anymore. You can't just abandon him like this. I didn't abandon him, I said, calm and careful. He left, on camera. Her voice cracked. He was trying to impress people. And he did, I said. just not in the way he hoped. There was a long silence. Then she said, with a voice dipped in defeat, "Well, I suppose you've made your decision." "I did," I said, "and so did he." She hung up. That night, sitting in my workshop with the soft hum of crickets outside and the faint scent of varnish in the air, I allowed myself a moment. Not of grief, not of anger, but of reflection. I realized, maybe for the first time, that Evan was not my great heartbreak. He was a detour, a noisy, chaotic, glitter-coated detour, one that blocked the path to the life I was meant to build. I thought about my mother then, a woman who raised me alone, who used to tell me, "Some people drown loudly, some drown quietly. Either way, you're not obligated to go down with them." Evan drowned loudly. He wanted the world to watch, document, react, validate. But I had stepped aside, and he sank alone. It felt liberating. The next day, I reopened commissions for the first time since the breakup. I posted a simple message on my business account. Custom furniture orders open again. Taking projects for July, December. Within an hour, I had 30 inquiries. Within 2, I had to set a wait list. People weren't reaching out because of the drama. They were reaching out for my craft, my actual work, my actual identity, the part of myself that had nothing to do with Evan Hale. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something warm unfurl inside my chest. Not happiness, not triumph. Something quieter. Hope. 2 more weeks passed. The world moved on, as it always does. New scandals surfaced. New viral memes replaced Evan's meltdown. New creators rose and fell. But the fallout of what he'd done lingered quietly in the background, like smoke after a fire. By then, my life had settled into something startlingly normal. I woke early, worked in my shop, met clients, ate dinner alone, but peacefully. Fell asleep without waiting for anyone to come home. It was strange how natural it felt. I didn't miss Evan. I didn't miss his noise or his theatrics. I didn't miss the way he always needed to broadcast his life to feel alive. What surprised me most wasn't the absence of grief. It was the presence of clarity. What had once felt like a future with potential now looked like an old, blurry photograph, something I could acknowledge existed, but no longer connected to. Then one night, just as I finished cleaning up my workshop, my phone buzzed with a single unexpected notification. New email from Evan Hale. Subject, please read. I stared at the screen. I had blocked him, but he kept creating new accounts like some desperate shadow hunting for attention. I almost deleted it without opening it. Almost. But curiosity, sharp, quiet curiosity, won. I opened it. What greeted me was a nearly 2,000-word emotional spiral. "I know I messed up. You're the only person who ever believed in me. I wasn't thinking straight. The internet twisted everything. Tiffany abandoned me. My mom won't even look at me. I'm alone. I still love you." The contradictions piled up like a traffic jam. He was sorry, but I embarrassed him by not defending him. He admitted he acted without thinking, but also claimed I set him up with a fake ring. He wished he could take everything back, but also insisted the meltdown video was edited unfairly by other people. He wanted to make things right, but wanted me to explain why I deceived him. And then the question he had clearly worked up to. Why would you give me a fake ring? Was our whole relationship a lie? Fake, lie, deception. Not once did he ask about the meaning of the ring. Not once did he consider he might have misunderstood something. Not once did he show any curiosity about who I am beyond what I could give him. He didn't want truth. He wanted a version of reality where he was still the protagonist. But I wasn't angry, not anymore. I felt that same quiet calm I'd felt watching the very first video. The cold, still clarity that told me exactly what needed to be done. I sat down at my desk, opened a new email, attached one file, and began typing. Subject, the truth you asked for. Evan, since you want answers, here they are. I attached the screenshot of my original design notes to the jeweler, the document I had written long before proposing. Notes describing the platinum band, the hand-carved roots motif, the positioning of the side stones, and the choice of the center stone. 3-carat moissanite. Brilliant cut. Ethical. Durable. Symbolic. Chosen intentionally. Below the screenshot I wrote, "My grandmother was married for 60 years. The ring she wore her whole life wasn't a diamond. It was moissanite. She used to say, a diamond is just expensive carbon, but real love is built, not bought." I chose that stone because I wanted our marriage to reflect the same thing hers did, something strong, brilliant, rooted in real value, not just price tags. I planned to tell you this story on our wedding day. I paused, then continued. You wanted a six-figure ring because you thought it would make you look valuable. But I chose a stone that symbolized commitment because I thought our relationship was valuable. The ring wasn't fake. It was a test. And it showed me that you measured love in resale value, not meaning. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before typing the last line. The ring wasn't the lie, Evan. You were. I sent the email. Then I blocked the address. Permanently. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't want one. And none came. Weeks passed. Summer warmed into autumn. Work orders filled every square foot of my studio. I spent my mornings sanding wood in sunlight and my evenings sketching new designs with a cat purring on my lap. Evan disappeared from the internet entirely. His accounts stayed deleted. Tiffany moved on to a new wellness era and pretended none of it happened. Marilyn stopped calling. Eventually, even the memes faded. Life moved forward. One crisp evening, I finished a long day in the workshop, turned off the lights, and stepped outside. The sky was painted in fading orange, the air cool enough to smell like the beginning of a new season. For a moment, I stood there with my hands in my pockets, breathing in the quiet. Not the cold quiet from before, the quiet of shock, betrayal, numbness. This quiet was different, warm, earned, healing. I closed the workshop door behind me and whispered into the fading light. Next time, I choose someone who chooses me. Then I walked back into my house, my home, and let the door click shut behind me.